This is Don Gilsdorf with GainFocus. This time we're going to go over the GainFocus XL add-in for inventory count. First thing, I just want to run a quick SQL query to show that there are no tag files present. This particular add-in requires that you create tag counts first. This is in Macola ES or Macola Progression, either one, or Macola 10. Under Inventory Counts, Physical or Cycle Count Selection. We're going to do a cycle count collection. I'm going to be real creative and call my batch Don. I'm going to get all items, location MA, and I'm going to create 15 extra tags for what that's worth. And I'm just going to let it rip here. This is creating the tags. I have to print that, which won't take long at all. So that's done. Now over in SQL we can see that we've got 117 tags. So now in Excel, and this is going to, this add-in is going to automate what you would basically do on this screen, enter tag counts, where I would actually enter the batch ID, the tag count, tab down and enter the quantities. Let's go to Excel and make that happen. So under the add-ins menu, GainFocus, Inventory Count, Format Sheet. Again, just a macro that draws the sheet. The first 10 rows, you can't change that. You can't change the columns. It's the template that must exist. The next step is to retrieve the tag data. Whoops, I have to enter a batch ID to work with, which of course I forgot to do because Excel doesn't know that. We'll do that again. And there comes all our batches. Down at the bottom, we see our extra tags. I'm going to go ahead and enter a couple of tags here, or extra tags here. So we found an item number and a physical count of 125. And let's say a few later we found another 43 of the same item. Whoops, of the same item. Notice that at this point there is no description or cost for those extra tags, but we'll get to that in a minute. I'm also going to do a little something here to dummy up a count. I'm going to take the Macola quantity times 0.984 and round it to a couple decimal places. I'll just copy that down. So I've got, notice up at the top, I've got the error count and error percentage and variance dollars. And that's all gone down considerably since I copied all those quantities in. I'm putting in zeros for all these extra tags for the count. So they all have to be counted. And I got one more there, okay. So they're all counted. So I think I've got my count pretty well at this point. I'm minus 1.6%, which is pretty good. And like all of the Excel add-in modules, one of our next steps is to check data. This is going to create a couple of errors. I did this on purpose. I just wanted to show some of the error checking routines in here. So I'm going to let that rip. And when it gets done here in a second. They have 6 errors. So we'll scroll down and find out what they are. You can do a mouse over. Serial controlled item. Count quantity must be an integer. Yeah, you can't have 34.44 of a serial controlled item. That's what all of these are, so I'm actually going to make these integers. And there's probably one, or something, there's another one down here. This one is a little bit different error. Must enter a positive or 0 count quantity. that because I did the little formula to take the McCullough quantity times 0.98, the McCullough quantity was negative. That obviously it was a problem. So I'm just going to make this a 0. I will not have any errors in that case. Some of the other things it checks for is the actual item number. If it's not a blank tag or an extra tag, the item number matches the tag number, and the location matches the tag number. And everything else, because McCullough would be creating that, unless it's an extra flag, everything else is pretty straightforward. There's not a lot to check there. I'm going to go ahead and check data again. And it should come up with no errors. And we're ready to go, 0 errors. I want to look at one thing over here in column P. That's the serialized warning. This is completely consistent with McCullough business rules. This is a serialized item. It's going to have a -1 adjustment, as you can see in this case. The one down 2 rows below is -10. When you do an adjustment, a physical or cycle count, on a lotted item or a binned item, McCullough knows, because the lot number is here in this column and the bin is here, it knows exactly what bin and lot number to take out. Serialized is different. We've got 23 on hand with 23 separate serial items, serial numbers. So when you are now going down to 22, McCullough does not know which one to take out. So same thing happens when you do a physical cycle count in McCullough. It will tell you, hey, on these items, you have got to do a manual serial adjustment, because McCullough doesn't know what serial number is no longer there. So you have to tell it that. So that's the only thing that's a little different. It's really not any different, but when you do the counts here, you'll have to follow up just like when you do now. You follow up and do the serial manual adjustment for those items that are serialized in this case. So with no further waiting, I'm going to go ahead and write the data. I'm going to flip over to SQL real quick. You'll notice my count quantities are all 0 in the count quantity field, and that'll change real shortly here. So I'm going to go ahead and write the data. It says you may now go to McCullough to post tags. If you have serialized items, this is just stating what I said earlier. If you have serialized items, you must manually post a serial lot adjustment transaction if their count has changed. See column P for these items. So I'm just establishing or re-emphasizing what I'd said earlier. So now back to McCullough. What we've done is automate this whole enter tag counts process one tag at a time. So now all we have to do is post those, and bada bing, inventory is updated. That's very much it. It's a very simple process. If I decide this is no good, I haven't posted yet, so if I decide this is no good, I can come in and change and write it completely over again. I'll make that one 800. Maybe I'll make this one 15,000. Maybe I'll make it, 15 million. I don't know what I did there. 15,000,000. So now I've got a positive. I got to have a huge positive variance dollars, which I don't want. But the point is, I could change all this and just go right back and write it again. It's just going to overwrite the data that's there exactly with what you see in Excel. So you can do this multiple times until you're happy with it. And when you're happy with it, go into McCullough and post it. And once that's done, your inventory will update. All the journal entries will happen automatically, just as if you had manually entered all of those counts in Macola. So I'm going to sign off now, and that's it. If you have any questions or would like to maybe tweak this to your own business, we can certainly accommodate something like that, and I hope to hear from you soon.